over legal principles. And yesterday, this did not make sense to me at all because I was exhausted. I think that I need to take a nap before I go to class. So I'm just going to talk out loud, because talking out loud and even making a video and looking back at it, because I did a couple of videos for myself and I looked back at it and it helped me out. So let's talk about litigious. Litigious, prone to lawsuits. Bill, a bill that has passed because this also found in the name of a specific law is an act. The difference between an act and a statute, used more to refer to the context of the actual law, is a statute. So that's the difference between that. And a piece of legislation passed by a municipal or law government is ordinance. What else? I'm going to be talking about the balance of power in the United States. We're going to talk about the professional liability and insurance, explain 5 elements required for a contract to be legally binding. So far I've gone over sources of law, balance of power, and I'm going to be learning about criminal law, civil law, liabilities. So far I got Group A right, which describes ordinance, law, common law, precedent, case law, statute law, and act. Okay, what else? Statutes that define actions or omissions, lack of actions that threaten and or harm public safety and welfare is common law. Protect and define private rights, civil law. A monetary settlement and the defendant pays the plaintiff in a civil case or loss of injury is damages. I need to go over criminal and civil law. Laws can be divided into 2 main categories: substantive law, substantive law, laws that are determined in rights and obligations of people derived from common law and statutes. Common law, criminal laws or statutes that define actions and or omissions, lack of actions. Okay, I got this. I have 5 days to study. So what I think I need to do is just go over what the learning objectives are, which are discussing the balance of power in the United States, compare criminal and civil as they apply to the practicing medical assistant, differentiate between intentional torts and negligent torts, unintentional torts, differentiate between standard of care and scope of practice for a medical assistant, define terms related to a civil lawsuit, and explain the 4 Ds of negligence. The 4 Ds of negligence. I want to go over the four Ds of negligence. That's something, defensive liability. What I really just need to do is read through this whole thing like more than 3 times. That's what I did with the other 2 chapters, and I did really well. Let's talk about the 4 Ds of, the 4 Ds of negligence. So I need to find negligence. We're going to talk about malpractice. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm just studying. Patient provider relationship. I'm going to go over the things that I highlighted from the lecture yesterday. We talked about tort law. Tort law applies when one person, business, an entity, when applies when one person, business, or government does a wrongdoing to an individual that causes injury or property damage. It includes intentional tort, negligence, and strict liability, strict duty to ensure safety of manufactured products. So there's a contract law that applies to agreements between two or more individuals or parties. Property law applies to personal property, copyright, stocks, animals, physical goods. Family law applies to marriage, divorce, annulment, child custody. Um, intentional torts. Intentional torts. With an intentional tort, the plaintiff must prove the defendant had specific intent to perform the action that caused the injury. The focus is not whether the harm was intended, but if the action was intended. Many intentional torts are also criminal in nature. The defendant may be prosecuted in both civil court and a criminal court for the action. Common intentional torts. So, common intentional torts include assault, battery, false imprisonment. How do we false imprisonment someone in the medical field? Intentional restraint. Okay, so I guess the example for false imprisonment is if the patient wants to leave and you can't make them stay, or the patient needs a treatment and you're like, no, you have to stay here and get this treatment. You can't do that. For example, okay, because there's an example. For an example, medical assistant uses restraints to keep a patient in a wheelchair without significant reason. Fraud, deceiving, lying to a person or party for monetary gain. Example, medical assistant bills and insurance. Okay, yeah, this is the example she gave. Say you're billing for an insurance and the patient, um, the patient's insurance doesn't start until a certain date, but they really need this treatment. Say they need some chemo and they need it now, but their medical insurance doesn't kick in for like a week. And if you just change the date there, that's fraud. That's the example she gave yesterday. Defamation, intentional saying something false about another person which causes harm. Written, and you know, the example she used for that was the Johnny Depp trial, the defamation trial with that. So, invasion of privacy, disclosing private facts without the consent of an individual, or intrusion into a person's personal life. For example, a medical assistant tells a family member or friend about a patient who was seen in the department, which is breaching confidentiality. Critical thinking and application. Bella and Daniela were receiving civil law concepts after work. Bella asked Daniela how civil law would apply to medical assistants. How might Daniela respond? Discuss your response with a peer. And that was talking about civil law. Let me go back to civil law and remind myself, what is civil law? Civil law. Civil law protects and defines private rights. An individual or institution can sue another person, institution, business, or government in civil matters. Civil laws, disputes related to contract, property, family. Okay, so liability. So the examples: divorce, child custody, product liability, and accidents. Accidents. if I make an, if I, okay, I got an example. What an accident that could happen. 20 years ago, I worked in allergy medicine. And in allergy medicine, it was our responsibility at the time. This is not in our scope of practice, I don't think anymore. It was our responsibility. The patients had a series of allergy injections, and each series of allergy injections built them up to the tolerance of being immune to that allergy. So I'm going to use a bee for an example. Okay, say that there was starting level 1, 2, 3. Patient comes in, and for the first month, they get a series every week of the first level of B vaccination, not vaccinations, immune injections, allergy injections, because it's not a vaccination. Okay, they're supposed to get that. There are 3 levels: 1, 2, 3. They're supposed to only come in for 30 days for the first, once a week. Say they come in, I give them this, the first level, that's okay. Say I'm not paying attention and they have all 3 levels there, and I come in and I give them the second dose instead of the first dose, and I skipped it. That is an accident. I can get sued for that. So, what else? Okay, I'm just gonna go study by myself right now. I need to just focus on this. Thank you for thumbs up in this video. See you guys later.